It's a question that I hear often. Why? Why, Father? Why is this happening? Why now? Why us? Why me? Why my family? Why my child? As priests, we encounter people at their happiest moments and at their most difficult moments. And when those difficult moments come, it's not at all uncommon for the first word on someone's mouth, someone's lips, to be, why? What did I do to deserve this? Is God angry at me? Is this divine justice being meted out? Why is God allowing this virus to hit our world at this time? Why has God allowed our lives to be so disrupted, our routines to be so turned upside down? Why is God allowing His churches to lock their doors? Why is God allowing His bishops to cancel masses? And most importantly, why is God allowing so many to get sick, so many to die? This question of why is called the question of evil, or the problem of evil. Why would God allow bad things to happen to good people? It's a question we see get asked over and over in the Bible. There's an entire book dedicated to it. It's called Job. And indeed, it's the very question that Jesus' disciples ask at the start of today's gospel. As Jesus passed by, he saw a man blind from birth. His disciples asked him, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" Somebody must have sinned. God wouldn't allow a man to be born blind unless it was punishment for sin. Friends, how eerily similar this is to some of what we hear in the Catholic blogosphere and the Catholic YouTube world. This coronavirus, well, this is divine punishment that has been prophesied for so long. This is what we get for allowing the world to go to hell in a handbasket. God is doing this because of, insert your favorite issue here. God's allowing this because of abortion. God's allowing this because of gay marriage. God's allowing this because of global warming. God's allowing this because of the church scandals. God's allowing this because of... Stop. I'm not interested in the Catholic blogger's answer to this question. I'm not interested in CNN's answer, or Fox News' answer, or MSNBC's answer. I'm interested in Jesus' answer. From the gospel. Jesus answered, "Neither he nor his parents sinned. It is so that the works of God might be made visible through him." My friends, if the coronavirus and the questioning around it causes us to descend into finger-pointing, it's the Chinese, it's the Democrats, it's the Republicans, it's the guy who coughed next to me in Mass last week. If we're pointing fingers, then we're missing the point. Neither he nor his parents sinned. It is so that the works of God might be made visible through him. What are the works of God that he wants to make visible in us during this time? Well, we'll get there, but first, we've got to let him do something for us. Again in the gospel, Jesus spat on the ground, made clay with the saliva, and smeared the clay on his eyes, and said to the blind man, "Go wash in the pool." So he went and washed and came back able to see. Friends, before we can let Jesus show his works in us to the fullest extent that he wants, first we've got to let him open our eyes. Notice how Jesus performs this miracle. He spits on the ground, makes clay from the spit, and then smears the clay on the guy's eyes. Talk about your lack of social distancing. Friends, we are in a weird time where we're being asked to fast from a lot of things. Handshakes, high fives, hugs. We're being asked to fast from too much social interaction, no more than 10 people. In some cases, perhaps some people watching this have been asked to quarantine themselves in their own house. Maybe you're stuck in one room, in your own home. That isolation is not at all unlike what the blind man experienced in today's gospel. Cut off, unable to participate, judged by all people because they assume he deserves his blindness. Why are you blind? Who sinned, you or your parents? Why are you in quarantine? Did you go to China? Did you wash your hands? Did you just cough? Heavens to Betsy. See, Jesus cuts through all that. He wasn't afraid to smear his spit mud in the man's eyes. And he's not afraid to cut through our isolation, our quarantines, our loneliness, to heal us, to give us sight. What might that sight look like? Well, I'm not really sure what it'll be for you, but I can tell you what it's been for me so far. You know, when word first came down on Wednesday that the bishop had suspended masses, I witnessed a lot of reactions. Many of us were shocked, you know. A bunch of us were confused or wondering what comes next. Some people, a small but vocal minority, were angry. Angry at our bishop, at Monsignor Joe, at me. Lots of words and names were thrown around. And for a little while, that vocal minority filled my vision. But then the Lord opened my eyes to the majority. The vast majority of you reached out. How can I help? Are there any elderly people stuck at home who can't get food or meds? Father, I hear you're going to be live streaming. You know, I do IT. What do you need? In a time when grocery store shelves are empty, I've seen St. Ignatius parishioners donating food to the food pantry. In a time when there's the possibility of our ministries being physically cut off from our people for quite some time, I've seen Fran Marin and Josh Strope and Bart and Sam Trapp and Laura Margarella and Brandon Venick finding creative ways to keep the people's faith alive. I've seen our secretary, Catherine, working her fingers to the bone trying to keep the bulletin current with all the changes that Father Joe and I keep throwing at her. And she's doing a great job. I've seen so many of our people coming to adore our Lord in the chapel, so many that we had to open up the hall to allow for social distancing. I've seen our Life Team kids, teenagers, gathered at the last in-person Bible study that they're going to have for a good long while, speaking about the spiritual dimensions of this crisis with a wisdom and depth and clarity that the finger-pointing media can't hope to sniff. I've had parishioners calling me, asking me how I'm doing. So what does the sight that Jesus wants to give us right now look like? Well, the sight that he's given me is that he's shown me his works in you. I have seen so many works of God in these past few days, and he wants to do so much more. And so, yes, we could take this as a time of being cut off from Mass, cut off from our parish, cut off from community, and we could get angry or bitter. We could complain, we could point fingers, we could wish this had never happened. We could see this as a time when we are simply being deprived of something. Or we could see this as a fast, a Lenten fast. This could be a very long Lent, the long Lent, a Lent that might even extend past Easter. If we take that route and see this time as a fast from Mass, from a parish, from community, then the Lord will have the space to open our eyes to new things, to perhaps things that we've forgotten, the joys of family, the beauty of home, the simplicity of a meal shared not in a restaurant, but in the dining room. And we can remember the fact that where 2 or 3 are gathered in His name, Jesus is there too. It breaks my heart that I cannot share the Mass with you. It breaks my heart that I cannot share the Eucharist with you. But I know that when I unite to Jesus in prayer, you're there too. I love you very much. I miss you very much. And when this is all over, I look forward to hearing how Jesus gave you new sight this Lent.